Welcome back to The Explainer. I am so pumped you're here today because we are breaking down one of the most highly anticipated, explosive events in recent streaming history, the series finale of The Boys, titled Blood and Bone. If you've been wondering exactly how Amazon and Eric Kripke managed to close out this absolute monster of a show, well, you are in the perfect place. We're diving straight into the reviews to see exactly how this bloody, game-changing series finally takes its bow.
And, that brings us right to the single biggest question on every fan's mind right now. Did The Boys actually stick the landing? I mean, after years of just wild, boundary-pushing television, could they deliver a genuinely satisfying conclusion without losing that sharp edge? We're going to scientifically examine this finale to find out exactly how they pulled it off.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the ultimate showdown. 2, the emotional core. 3, spectacle and gore. 4, where it fell short. And finally, number 5, a dark conclusion.
Starting things off with Section 1, the ultimate showdown, or as we like to call it, a superhero apocalypse. Right out of the gate, Episode 8 is just massive. The sources describe it as feeling way less like a standard TV episode and much more like a brutal superhero apocalypse movie. And the reason this matters so much is the pacing. There is literally zero downtime here. The tension that's been brewing all season long, actually scratch that for the entire series, is suddenly thrust right into a full-scale emotional and political war. You're thrown headfirst into the chaos and betrayal immediately, and the show makes it crystal clear right away. Absolutely nobody is safe anymore.
Moving right along to Section 2, the emotional core, tragedy and consequences.
Because when you look past the giant explosions, it all comes down to this one central rivalry. You have Billy Butcher, who is broken, angry, and completely exhausted, but, still totally willing to burn the entire world down just to finish the mission. And facing him, Homelander. And he is more terrifying, unpredictable, and unhinged than we have ever seen him. This beautifully illustrates the micro-level character dynamics that truly ground the macro-scale apocalypse we were just talking about. It's not just mindless action. It's a deeply personal, incredibly tragic conflict between these two unstoppable forces.
But honestly, the true tear here comes from Anthony Starr's performance. As the reviews specifically call out, there are moments where he barely raises his voice, and somehow that is scarier than all the laser-eyed destruction combined. The show has always treated Homelander like a ticking nuclear bomb, right? Well, in this finale, that bomb finally detonates. Reviewers are even saying this might genuinely be his best performance in the entire series because of that quiet, unpredictable terror. It is an emotional payoff that just hits incredibly hard.
Which brings us to Section 3, spectacle and gore, cinematic chaos.
Visually speaking, this might be the biggest, most brutal episode the series has ever put out. The source material highlights this absolutely insane, massive-scale action sequence right near the White House. It's described directly as feeling like something straight out of an R-rated Avengers movie. And the main takeaway here is just the sheer quality of the production. The visual effects are surprisingly strong for a streaming series, making all that cinematic chaos feel totally tangible, expensive, and just huge.
But hey, don't worry, the show hasn't suddenly gone completely clean just because it's the grand finale. No way. It perfectly retains that classic The Boys energy. It's disgusting, shocking, hilarious, and deeply disturbing all at the exact same time. It effortlessly balances the heavy emotional tragedy we talked about earlier with that unapologetic visceral gore the series is so famous for. So if you were worried they'd soften up for the end, absolutely not. The viscera is very much still here.
Let's shift gears for a second to Section 4, where it fell short, reviewer critiques.
Look, balancing a scale this massive definitely comes with a cost. Because the finale is juggling so many storylines all at once, the source does note a couple of distinct flaws. First off, some side characters just don't get enough closure, and a few fan-favorite arcs kind of feel rushed. Second, the political satire can sometimes feel a bit heavy-handed. The show has always been highly political, sure, but the reviewer points out that in Episode 8, it occasionally feels more focused on making statements than letting the scenes breathe naturally, which, honestly, is a completely valid critique of a show trying to manage such a massive ensemble in its final hour. And that leads us to our final stop, Section 5, a dark conclusion, the final verdict.
Ultimately, the creators made a really bold thematic choice here. They chose consequences over fan service. So what does that mean for us as viewers? Well, it means this was never going to be a clean, tied up with a bow superhero ending. It actively chooses to be dark, messy, emotional, and frankly, very uncomfortable. And according to the source, that was exactly the right decision. It stays fiercely true to what The Boys has always been. It's ugly and it's violent, and it leaves you thinking long after the credits roll, instead of just handing over a safe, crowd-pleasing wrap-up.
So looping right back to our very first question, did they stick the landing? The answer is a resounding yes. The reviewer gives this unforgettable finale a very solid 9 out of 10. While not every single storyline lands perfectly, just due to the sheer volume of characters, the spectacular action, the unbelievable performances, and that massive emotional payoff make it an absolutely worthy ending for one of the craziest superhero shows ever made.
So when can you actually witness this cinematic chaos for yourself? The series finale officially drops on May 20, 2026 on Prime Video. Definitely mark your calendars for that because this is going to be an event you will not want to miss.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this highly memorable quote from the review. Never trust a superhero from Vought. This show has completely rewritten the rulebook on the superhero genre from day one, and it leaves us with one final provocative question to ponder before the premiere hits. After everything we have seen him do, where will Homelander ultimately rank among the greatest TV villains of all time? I'll let you think about that one. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today, and keep exploring the stories behind the screen.